Hey everybody, I hope you all are doing well and welcome back to Whiskey Wanders. And we've done a Whiskey Wanders on our way out of the country today here at the LAX Duty Free, at our local international duty free here in Los Angeles. And we have done one on bourbon. We have done one on Japanese whiskey, which was pretty amazing. If you haven't seen those, check those out. I'll put a link up here for those as well. But this time around, we have some pretty amazing Scotch focused duty free, especially when we get onto the continent. But this time around, we are doing the various and the sundry Macallans that are available, including a rare travel-only Macallan's Rare Cask Black, and the more mundane, but still surprisingly equally as hard to get, at least at a reasonable price, the Macallan 21, and we see a bunch of other Macallans as well. Now, before we get to it, if you like these videos, if you like the wanders, if you like the hauls, if you like the reviews, the unbottlings, the unboxings, and really all the amazing stuff that we have cooking up for you, don't forget to like and subscribe, because it does really help the channel grow, and we are so thankful for that, and we are growing, and that is pretty nice as well. But also because it means you get notifications when our newest long videos come out, when our newest short videos come out, and really when our videos that are somewhere in between also come out. All right, now let's get down to the video. All right, so while we are waiting for the Wander Vision to get warmed up here, let ourselves too get warmed up, and hopefully you are as well. And today, I think that I'm going to be enjoying something that is rather apropos for what we are doing, primarily the Macallan Rare Cask from 2022. Oh yeah. So I think we actually have another one from this most current year, but I thought how appropriate for the Rare Cask Black, Rare Cask 2022. So let's get a glass here and see if we can get a pop. Get it turned over on both sides here. Let's see if we can get a pop. Hey, that's a good one. That's a good one. And let's get a little bit of juice. Oh yeah. And to whiskey, because let's face it, you can never really truly drink too much whiskey. You can only just sort of drink it too fast. Cheers. That one definitely gotten better as it's been open for a while. Definitely, 100%. So, obviously, in a Macallan-centric video, I think it would be really important to look at the kind of interesting relationship between Macallan and duty-frees in general, especially if you consider, as far as Scotch goes, Macallan is the king of duty-frees. It seems like the #1 Scotch that folks buy in the duty-free is the Macallan, which I guess makes sense. I mean, it's one of the world's largest single malts, and it's also very prestige, and it's very well known, so I get all that. I mean, but even London Heathrow, they have their very own Macallan boutique right there in the airport. We'll get to that one. But at this duty-free specifically, you see some Macallans that you can really only find here in the duty-free. In this case, specifically, they are a travel edition only, the Macallan's Rare Cask Black edition. Now, the collection that we have at least this one. We have this one, and we have a 2023. I don't know if we've gone over it yet, but we have one and just haven't opened it yet. And I think it's pretty good. It holds up relatively well, especially after it's got a little bit of air and a little bit of time into it. I think it's nice, and I think it holds up very nicely against some of the mid to low range tier series of Macallan. So think Macallan 12, Macallan 15, maybe even Macallan 18, right? But seeing it here in the black version, super tempting. So let's talk about what are the similarities of the black and the standard rare cask, and then talk a little bit about what makes them different. Now, obviously the rare casks in general are non-age statements, and additionally they are special editions, and the black one here is an even double special edition, I guess. The normal ones come out on a yearly basis, but the black one actually does not have a year statement on it. And the Macallan, purportedly, for these rare casks, searched through their Donkey Kong level of inventory of barrels, somewhere around 321,000 barrels, and pick out a small number, maybe just 100 of them, and blend them together to make these unique rare cask Macallan expressions. So of course, that is all well and good. And in fact, what I like about the Rare Cask series is that because it doesn't have an age statement, it really allows the Macallan to explore what their whiskey could be without those restrictions of age statement. So again, that is all good. But what makes the Black Edition unique and tempting in this case is that with those 100 or so casks that are selected, some are the very limited. So they've been seasoned with the extraordinarily limited Macallan peated whiskeys that I guess they produced back in the mid 20th century, but not in our lifetime. So as a member of the peat mob, that is those who love the taste of burnt clutch in their mouth, looking at this one really got my whiskey tinglies oscillating. Now, according to the Macallan, it is aged in both American and European oak sherry seasoned casks with peated casks from exceptionally rare, their words, not mine, aged stocks of peated Macallan distillation. Again, it's not that this is a huge departure from their standard, the Macallan whiskey, but just, you know, it's a whiskey with a little different tone, a little different perspective, perhaps even a little tinge to it from the standard line. And, you know, it's those kind of variations that for a collector like myself really start to get me. Now, the price that we see it here at the LAX Duty Free is $577, which is a pretty penny for sure, especially considering that if you want a standard rare cask like this one or the 2023, you can get it at Total Wine for about $319. So that is a market increase from the cost just for a simple edition of a peat seasoned barrel. And in fact, the difference is $258 or 44.71%, just in case you were wondering. And I guess that would really come down to, you know, whether it's worth it or not, as to whether or not you love peat, how much you love peat, and how much you love the Macallan. The thing is, there's definitely people who love them both enough. Now, the ABV on this Macallan Rare Cask Black edition is at 43%, which is pretty standard. I mean, the thing is with peated whiskeys, depending on how peated they are, I generally think that they could afford a bit higher ABV just overall. But still, you know, the Lagavulin, the Lafroig, the Ardbegs, those folks, they usually still keep their standard lines at that 43 to 45%, which is okay. But I think it could be lifted and still be pretty good. But, you know, who am I to give the Macallan another excuse to raise the price even more? So maybe just leave it at that 43%. So there's also not an age statement on this one, which, again, in some ways, it does sort of cheapen the bottle in my mind, just because the age statement is we're so fixated on the age statement, like most whiskey consumers. But since it is a bit of a strange edition, it doesn't compensate, but it does help to give back some of that shininess and at least catch my eye. And the tasting notes on it mention that it is very light on the palate, which, I mean, looking at the bottle, you wouldn't think that it'd be light on the palate. This looks like a heavy hitter, but, you know, and of course there's the Macallan. It also, as far as peat goes, there really isn't that much peat. In fact, most of the tasting notes don't mention peat at all, but rather mention notes of plum pudding, orange rinds, coffee grounds, fresh oak, and again, a noticeable lack in peat. So I don't know, that feels a little strange, and maybe it's just more marketing than it is actual, you know, palate relevance. The overall average score that I could find on the Macallan Rare Cask Black edition was at 85 points, and that's sort of where I would expect it to be, as far as the people who are the hardcore whiskey drinkers are always going to judge Macallan a little bit more difficultly than someone, you know, you're just giving it to as a gift, or a businessman who's using it as a business kind of gift or things like that. So it was a little bit of a disappointment, but at 85 points, when with the price tags of $577.00, you know, this one is going to be a pass for sure. Now, next up is a version of the Macallan that I thought was really much more common when I saw it in person than it actually is, and really has sort of changed my mind with the paucity of it that I could find, whether or not we should have picked it up or not. Because it is the Macallan 21, the Colors Edition. And in general, I feel like the Macallan age statements are, of course, the most popular, but also the most overpriced offered from the distiller. And usually here at home, it's pretty common. It is quite common, in fact, to see a 12 basically everywhere by the pallet. 15 less or so, and 18 even less so, and even pretty frequently you'll see a 25 and a 30. But looking over all the wander footers that we had over this last year or so, I don't have one sighting of the Macallan 21, which is leading me to think that either it is not so popular that they don't make so much of it, or it is so popular that you just never see it on the shelf. Either way, I'm starting to have second thoughts about maybe we should have actually gotten this one. The Macallan 21 here is from the Color Collection, and like it says on the label, it is supposed to be a glorification of whiskey that is naturally colored. Because let's face it, not all whiskeys out there are naturally colored. I'll let you fill in the blank what it is. But also it's sort of obvious and sort of hokey, because glorifying whiskey for its natural color would also be like trying to glorify the aspects of whiskey that are wet being naturally wet, right? Anyways, it is aged in both American oak casks as well as European oak casks. And I would say that at this age, at 21 years old, it really does take it out of that mid-range Macallan bottle and mid-range Macallan bottle price and move it into the lower end of the higher end, and of course with a higher price to match that. Now, as an additional tweak to it, the European barrels that it is aged in are specifically seasoned with sherry from Jerez de la Frontera from Spain. Sorry, let me Spanish that one up. So it's from Jerez de la Frontera de España, which, let's face it, is a great marketing point, right? It's a really good point. You're like, ooh, Jerez de Frontera, right? But I don't think that most of us, or really any of us, or the general whiskey drinking public writ large worldwide, would be able to distinguish between sherry seasoned barrels from Jerez de la Frontera, or Pedro Jimenez, or the generic, name brand Kirkland Oloroso cask. So, I don't know. Macallan, of course, being a master of marketing, hypes it up, and it sounds pretty cool, but does it really matter? Does it affect the palate? Oh, I don't know. We'll see. Also, here at the LAX Duty Free, we can see that the cost of the Macallan 21 is at $1,280. I'm gonna take a drink with that one. Which actually, hear me out, is not that bad of a price, considering that if you were to get something like the Macallan 25 here at the Total Wine with the additional 4 years, it has a cost of $2,799. So you're basically, if you're thinking about it, if you're doing the whiskey math, you get 80% of the age, but paying less than half of the price. In fact, the 25 is 118.75% more. So, whiskey math, right? Okay. I know it doesn't work that way. And the ABV on the Macallan is, of course, at the baseline Macallan ABV at 43% or 86 proof. And the tasting notes that I could find on this one specifically mention things like tropical fruits, candied ginger, which sounds pretty awesome, coffee cream, hazelnuts, and cardamom, which, by the way, just in case you were wondering, BTW, is that cardamom is a spice made from a combination of seeds from plants in the Lataria amomum and Zingibericiae family. So, just in case you're wondering, the more you know. The review scores I could find on it, well, I actually couldn't find any reviews on it. It seems like maybe this version of the Macallan, the Color Edition or the Color Collection, isn't that popular, or perhaps it is so overpriced that no one is getting it, and those who are getting it are not really reviewing it. So I'll let you decide on what you think the score should be on it, but there just wasn't really enough to put together and put one out. So, but I'll tell you what, one thing is that for us, it was a pass. So, but maybe I should have got it. All right, so that's it for today's Whiskey Wanders from this last trip to the LAX Duty Free, the most recent one, I should say, and we have some more coming up, so we'll have some more travel editions coming out here. Talking about the variety, the width and breadth of the Macallan collections that are available, and if you like these videos, in fact, if you like all of our videos, whether it is the wanders or the hauls or the reviews or the unbottlings, the unboxings, and really all the amazing stuff that we have cooking up for you, and we have a lot, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because it does really help the channel grow, and of course we are so thankful for that. Thank you. But also because it means that you get notifications when our newest long videos come out, when our newest short videos come out, and whenever our videos sort of halfway in between come out as well. Now, just remember, if you do find a whiskey that you love, just buy it. Because if you don't, somebody else surely will. Maybe not in this case, but it might even be me. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your week. I'm out, and adios.